Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. What if Naruto's true power was unlocked by Tsunade in the Wave Arc, Part 1? And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. The Prophecy Retold. Jiraiya was wondering why Gamamaru, the great elder toad, all of a sudden wants to speak with him in Mount Myoboku. He was just traveling around the land of water to keep track of his spy network and was returning back to Leaf Village. During his travels he was about to finish his very first book, Tales of a Gutsy Ninja. Granted, he was thankful for his student to provide him inspiration to complete the book. He thought perhaps he should take some time off from writing and traveling and enjoy some sceneries in Nadeshiko Village W. Which just happens to be located near the land of water. Because of that he and Gameiken were now in the middle of jumping away from Nadeshiko Village when Gameiken informed him that Gamamaru wishes to speak with him. You are so ungraceful, Jiraiya, to be found in a place full of women. I thought you left behind your perverseness and have become a serious author to inspire the world to achieve peace. Gameiken said in his ungraceful tone he always uses, while taking another large jump. Hey, it's not my fault. No one told me that Nadeshiko is full of kunoichi. And FYI, I was just taking some time off from writing the book to enjoy sceneries in the nearby village, which just happens to be that damn Nadeshiko village. Jiraiya ranted while making sure to hang on to the toad by applying chakra to his feet. No one wants to face the fury of angry kunoichi. By enjoying sceneries, you mean enjoying sceneries in female hot springs, with a monocular and a notepad. The giant toad countered. Jiraiya got a sweat drop on his head and replied hurriedly, whatever, Mr. Gameiken, just take me away from here as far as possible. As you see, I'm still ungraceful as ever. But hang on, after which Gameiken took another mighty leap. After some time the pair both got off from Nadeshiko village borders and traveled some more distance and entered Fire Country. They stopped at a pond to take some much needed rest because they are possibly out of danger now. Alright Jiraiya, we are reaching the time limit for summoning. Now I have to go back, but to honor Gamamaru-sama's wish, you must visit Mount Myoboku soon. Gameiken said while breathing a little heavily due to the leaps and jumps he took just recently. Yeah, I will, Mr. Gameiken. Tell Shima-sama to reverse summon me when you reach there. Jiraiya said while going to the nearby pond to wash his face. Alright Jiraiya, but don't go around peeping on women and getting into troubles. I can't save you all the time because as you see I am still as ungraceful as ever, said the giant toad and then disappeared in huge puff of smoke, leaving behind a very irritated Sannin for that peeping remark. For the last time, it's not peeping. It's called research, shouted the irritated Sannin to the fading smoke. A few seconds later he sighed and turned back to the pond to wash his face. He leaned near to the pond on his right knee and started to wash his face in the fresh pond water. But then he noticed a presence on his right side. He was a little surprised by this sudden appearance of the mysterious person. There was a woman standing tall on his right side 7 feet away from him. The woman had green eyes which can captivate anyone who sees them. Her light brown chin-length hair and her curvaceous build made her look even more attractive. She wore a dark red form-fitting outfit with only a long sleeve on her left side and has an orange sash around her waist. She stood in a stance that reflects her experience of being a tough kunoichi. I didn't expect you to chase me this far, he said as a statement, still washing his face as if she was not a threat to him. The technique you displayed last night was simply incredible. She praised his skills. But you simply didn't come here to tell me that, did you? The Sannin questioned in a matter-of-fact tone, while standing up and facing her. I've seen your skill and I want to make a request. She replied. Like what? The Sannin asked, getting to the point of this discussion. The next day, in Mount Myoboku, Jiraiya was walking alongside Fukasaku towards the throne area where Gamamaru rests. Fukasaku could not tell whether the Sannin is happy or is seriously thinking about something. Because Fukasaku noticed Jiraiya's face has a frown on it, but from time to time there was a smile on his face, like he was remembering some fond memories he shared with a person he loved. Soon the pair came before an elderly-looking toad resting on the throne. Jiraiya showed his respect to the great elder toad by bowing his head. You wish to speak to me, Gamamaru-sama? The Sannin asked respectfully. Jiraiya boy, you're here, replied the elder toad in a sagely tone. Yes, Gamamaru-sama, the Sannin confirmed. Jiraiya boy, I already told you about the prophecy when you first came before me, about the future student of yours that will become a ninja, who will bring a great change to the war. LD of Shinobi, I got another glimpse of your future in a dream recently, said the elder toad. Please tell me what you have seen, Gamamaru-sama. Jiraiya asked and started listening carefully. The child of prophecy will bring upon something that was long since forgotten. Whatever he will bring upon will either cause the destruction of Shinobi world or the salvation of it, answered Gamamaru. I think I've already found the child of prophecy, thought Jiraiya, remembering his one-time student who happens to carry a dojutsu that has been long since forgotten. Anything else have you seen, Gamamaru-sama? The Sannin asked. When no reply came, the Sannin looked closely and he could hear that Gamamaru has fallen asleep on the throne, snoring peacefully. Seeing this, both Jiraiya and Fukasaku fell face first into the ground in a comical way. Jiraiya was the first to recover and stood up. I guess if that's all, I should be going, Fukasaku-sama, he said to Fukasaku. All right, Jiraiya boy, you may return, replied Fukasaku with a sweat drop on the back of his head at seeing the great elder toad's antics. With that, Jiraiya got ready to return to Leaf Village. So the prophecy has been retold, was Jiraiya's thought when he was going to Shima so she can send him back to Leaf Village. A name that brings hope. In a dense forest, there was a lot of smoke forming at a huge tree. Slowly the smoke started to dissipate, allowing the two persons within the smoke to be seen. One person was wearing a dark cloak and has a cap on his head. He had a band-aid on the bridge of his nose. He was standing tall and looking down at the second person, pointing a kunai with his right hand in the second person's direction in an arrogant way. The second person was dressed up in a regular Junin outfit of the Leaf Village, and he was breathing heavily due to some exhaustion. The most striking feature of the second person was that his hair was in blonde color. His Leaf Village headband was tied around his forehead, where it kept some unruly blonde hair locks of his from getting on his face. Just give up, the first person demanded. Can I say one thing? The second blonde person was attacked before he could finish. I don't care what you say, shouted the first person, while hardly slamming the blonde onto the trunk of the tree with his left shoulder. He then kept the blonde firmly locked onto the tree trunk painfully. Just die already, the first person said again in irritation. Give up, blonde started to say in heavy breath. The man got shocked that the blonde could still talk. Then the person in his grip dispelled into smoke, revealing that he was fighting a shadow clone all this time. All of a sudden the original blonde appeared behind him with his left hand ready to deliver the finishing blow. On me giving up, the blonde finished his sentence and then delivered a hard chop to the back of his attacker's neck. The chop was so strong that the attacker was hardly slammed onto the tree trunk in a painful way and then landed face first onto the large tree branch. The person knew he was defeated. Even if you take me down, another assassin will attack the village, he informed the blonde. He then started to grin and lifted his head to look at the blonde that defeated him and said in between heavy breaths and panting, as long as we are cursed to live in this NJA world, there can be panting, no peace, panting, ever, panting. Well, I'm going to break that curse one day. If there is truly such a thing as peace, then somehow I'm going to find it. And I will never stop looking. The blonde replied. Who are you? The defeated person asked, looking genuinely surprised. The blonde then lifted his hand to introduce himself. My name is. Minato was interrupted from reading the book, Tales of a Gutsy Ninja, by Jiraiya slapping him on his back. Hey, so you were reading my Tales of a Gutsy Ninja book, are you? Jiraiya seemed happy that someone is interested in reading his very first book. Well, it's only my first published work, so the sentences can be a bit childish and I didn't do a great job, the Sannin said while taking a seat in front of Minato. He seemed embarrassed at his work. Oh, no, I don't believe that at all. I think that this tale is wonderful, Minato said, seemingly very impressed by the book. Every chapter reads like one of the numerous legendary exploits you told me about. It's almost autobiographical, Minato said, referring to the tales mentioned in the book. Yeah, but it didn't sell at all, Jiraiya said awkwardly, and then he started to scratch his cheek like he just got an idea and said, for my next one I think I'll add some spicy elements to pack it up. The main character in here, I thought that his determination to never give up was pretty awesome. He's actually quite a lot like you, sensei, Minato said, still looking at the book. Yeah, you think so? Jiraiya inquired, getting hopeful. So, I was thinking. I really hope my soon-to-be child to become an amazing shinobi, which is like the main character in your book," Minato expressed his feelings. "So that's why I'd like to ask your permission to name my son after him," said Minato, putting the book down on the table. What? Are you sure about this? I mean, I only came up with it while eating ramen," exclaimed Jiraiya, finding it shocking that his student is going to name his son after his book's main character. Naruto. A very pregnant-looking Kushina has joined the conversation, looking pleased at the name for her soon-to-be child. "Kushina." Jiraiya questioned her to make sure they are taking the right decision or not. Kushina nodded her head to Jiraiya, conveying her wish to name her son as Naruto while rubbing her stomach in a loving way that only a mother could do. "Wow, so would that make me his godfather then?" Jiraiya asked hopefully. "We want you to be his godfather, Jiraiya-sensei," both Kushina and Minato replied as one. And the day went on with the three discussing about how happy the future will be, and how their soon-to-be child will become an Aweso. Me shinobi. Unknown to them, there was a storm awaiting in the darkness to swallow all of their lives into darkness. Some unknown location. There was person sitting in the darkness wearing a dark cloak and a hood covering his identity. His facial features could not be seen from under his hood. "All I need is just one opportunity," the unknown person muttered to himself, and then lifted his head up and started laughing like a maniac. In the process, his hood dropped from his face while he was still laughing. There was a short glimpse of the white mask he was wearing on his face, having only one eye hole and has some dark stripes on it resembling a flame pattern. Peeking through the single eye hole ominously, was a sinister-looking Mangekyo Sharingan. Shifts in the sand. While the Namikaze family is eagerly waiting for their Naruto to come into this world, there was some major unrest going on far away in the Sand Village. It was another hot day in Sand Village. Everyone in the village seems to be working. Civilians going for the daily works, merchants and vendors opening their shops. But for one 3-year-old Temari, that was not the case. She and her 2-year-old brother just found out that they are going to have another sibling soon. The kids and their parents were so happy they even planned to make a family dinner plan. "Those damn Kunchal members just have to ruin it, don't they?" Temari said to herself, standing in the hallway of the house, hands folded and face set in frown like a stubborn child. She was so young she could not even pronounce some words properly. The eldest daughter of Rasa got irritated that her dad has to attend an important meeting when they were just about to celebrate the news of having a new sibling in future. But her dad promised to her that he will be back as soon as possible before he went to attend the meeting called upon by the council of the Sand Village. She released a long breath and decided to wait for her father to return. She entered her room and, "Kankuro, what are you doing in my room?" She stopped in mid-sentence and pointed to some type of box that Kankuro was holding in his hands and questioned, "Is that Mom's makeup kit?" Yeah, replied the 2-year-old Kankuro, while awkwardly trying to hide the makeup box from his sister's scrutinizing eyes. "What you're doing with it?" Temari asked, still unsure of why her brother was having her mom's makeup box in his hands. That's none of your business," Kankuro screamed childishly and then ran out of Temari's room. Temari was surprised by his outburst for a second, but then remembered that he was in her room. She threw a pillow in the direction of retreating Kankuro and shouted, "Don't enter my room with you. Tea parties and cat suits again. I don't do tea parties, and those are pajamas, not cat suits." She heard her brother shout back. She went back to her bed and thought, he may be weird, but he's still my weird brother. Soon I'm gonna have another younger brother, she told herself lovingly, but then thought, I wonder what's that meeting about that dad has to attend urgently. I wonder what this meeting is about that I have to attend urgently. Rasa asked the assembled council members. It's about the future of the Sand, Kazekage-sama. As we all know, Sand Village is on its last legs now. We were humiliated by the Leaf Village in the Second Shinobi World War. Our every assault on Leaf forces were countered by Tsukumo Hatake, the White Fang. Every poison Chiyo-sama came up with was always countered by Tsunade Senju, the Slug Princess. Our forces have been massively attacked by Orochimaru, the Snake Sannin and his summons, and most importantly Ich and E. Very one of our top secret plans to invade Leaf was spoiled by Jiraiya, the Toad Sage and his spy network even before the plans were put into motion. The newly appointed councilman Yura said. And then came the Third Shinobi World War. It was a war we wanted to win, to revenge the death of our third Kazekage, who was possibly assassinated by the Stone Village. Even if we were allies with Leaf Village in this war, it was actually Leaf who won the war single-handedly, by one Leaf shinobi decimating the Hidden Stone's army all by hims. Elf. While Sand Village was not able to land even one single decisive hit in that war, the Junin commander Baki pointed out. I know our village's history, please get to the main issue. Kazekage said, not wanting to hear again about Sand Village's dark history. All these shortcomings of Sand Village have made it a laughingstock in front of other villages. And we have decided to remedy that by giving Sand Village a weapon. Chio said. How do you propose to do that? Rasa inquired. We heard news that you are about to become father for another child. Am I right, Kazekage-sama? Chio questioned. Yes, but what that has to do with what we are discussing now? Questioned Rasa. The council wishes to seal Shukaku the sand spirit in your unborn child, while he is still in his mother's womb. In that way we can attain a perfect we. Denied. Rasa interrupted Chio, before she could even complete her words. Chio could not understand what he was implying. The council's wish for my child to be turned into a perfect weapon has been denied. Rasa clearly explained to the assembled council. All council members were stunned by this straight rejection. There was pure silence in the council room, so much that you could actually hear the clock ticking in the council chamber. Chio was the first to recover, but Kazekage-sama, you have to consider the future of this village first. Quote, Yura was next to respond. Kazekage-sama, Sand Village cannot appear weak in this crucial time. He was about to say some more, but Rasa held up a hand to silence all the bickering council members. Sand Village had already become weak that very moment, when this council decided to let a child who is not even born yet to carry the burden of this village. Rasa slapped the hard truth on the faces of council members. But Yura was interrupted again by Rasa, who said, I will not allow not only my child, but any child to bear the burden. But since Sand Village is in dire times, when my soon-to-be son becomes 5 years old in future, he will be given a choice to become the Jinchuriki. If he chooses to be a Jinchuriki, then he will become the guardian of the Sand Village, not the perfect weapon as some of you here think about Jinchurikis. He spat out the word perfect weapon like it was some kind of a poison. But Kazekage-sama, you must understand the importance of having a perfect we. Yura was not able to complete his sentence because an intense killer intent hit him head-on, courtesy of the fourth Kazekage, daring him to finish that sentence. This council exists to advise the Kazekage on how to run the village, but not to overstep Kazekage's direct orders. If you all still insist on ruining not just my child's, but any child's life, then I will be forced to implement the martial law and disband this council altogether. Was the final answer of Rasa. We respect your wishes, Kazekage-sama. We will hope that someday your future child will become the guardian of Sand Village. Chio replied calmly, like she was not even bothered by the key of Rasa. Rasa calmed down after hearing Chio's words. Thank you, Lady Chio, is that all? He asked the council. When no one said anything, he said, well then I will take my leave. Then Rasa left the council chambers in a golden dust shunshin. After that every other council member soon started to file out. Some time later in the evening that day, Rasa was about to enjoy a family dinner with his wife Karura, her brother Yashimaru and his children. Rasa and his brother-in-law Yashimaru were at the table while a very pregnant-looking Karura came up with some dishes and set them on the table. Temari, Kankuro, come on, dinner's ready. Karura called out for her 2 children. Rasa saw both his children Temari and Kanku. Rasa then noticed something. Kankuro, what is that on your face? Rasa almost shouted. It's war paint. Kankuro exclaimed proudly, like it was all the explanation that is needed to answer his father. But that's, Rasa was trying to search for words that won't hurt his son's feelings. Yashimaru was torn between trying to hold his laugh and keeping a poker face. While Karura's eyes became the size of dish plates at seeing her son with that horrible makeup he just called war paint. That's mom's makeup, Temari replied, seemingly not caring about her brother's feelings. Hey, the makeup-wearing boy shouted, and the 2 children started a funny quarrel. The day went on happily, with all of them as family. Yashimaru was now laughing out loud heartfully. Rasa and Karura were happy that their family is still standing strong even in dire times of the Sand Village. Unknown to them, there was a storm awaiting in the darkness to swallow all of their lives into darkness. Some unknown location. There was a person sitting in some kind of a throne in a darkly lit base. Facing him was some shinobi who have their faces covered with hoods. The Kazekage is allowing his love for family to get in the way of making Sand Village strong. We cannot let him pursue his foolish ideals. We will dethrone him and make the Sand Village prosper again. The person informed his assembled forces. With all due respect, my lord, how are you going to achieve it? One random shinobi asked their commander. By a coup d'etat, replied the commander still sitting in the throne of underground base. He then stood up and walked a little forward to face his assembled shinobi. Today we will be silent, but soon we'll take the power and authority by all means necessary and build a new sand village on the graves of its previous leaders. He exclaimed proudly, addressing his force. He then shouted, "We will fight, for the glory of the sand. We will fight, for the glory of the sand." The assembled shinobi all shouted as one in chorus while holding their right hand fists to their hearts, signifying their loyalty to the sand village. Then they all scattered away. There was only the mysterious person in the base now. He turned back and approached a nearby window and opened it. He then grew a sadistic grin on his face. "All I need is just one opportunity," the unknown person muttered to himself. His facial features became visible by the moonlight coming through the window. He was revealed to be Yura, the newly appointed council man. The fateful night. It was night time in Leaf Village and the moon was shining brightly in the dark sky. A 7-year-old boy was seen sitting on front porch of the house taking care of his 1-year-old baby brother, while at the same time trying to keep the baby comfortable. Few moments later he lifted his head and started to observe the moon. "It's a full moon tonight, Sasuke," the boy said to the baby in his arms. Sasuke made some baby sounds like he acknowledged his elder brother's words. Then all of a sudden, wind picked up around them and the entire village and started to howl in a very ominous way. The boy looked towards the sky again and he thought he felt something. A feeling, something ominous, the boy muttered to himself. Then baby Sasuke also started make some crying noises like he also felt the ominous feeling. There, it's okay, don't cry Sasuke. No matter what happens your big brother will protect you. I promise you that," told the boy to his baby brother in order to calm him. Then in just a matter of minutes, the almighty nine-tailed fox appeared out of nowhere in the middle of Leaf Village and started its rampage, destroying everything in its path with just a flick of its tails. People were dying left and right, buildings were collapsing and all the boy could do was to get out of the way of falling debris and to make sure his baby brother is fine. His brother Sasuke was scared and was crying. "This is an announcement from the Leaf Police Force. All civilians evacuate. Head to the southeast sector." The boy still carrying his baby brother heard the announcement and started running towards the southeast sector. On his way he saw a girl who is about his age, crying in an alleyway not knowing what to do. "Come here," he shouted to the girl. The girl stopped crying for a second and saw the boy holding his hand out. "Itachi." The girl identified the boy. "Hurry up," the now identified Itachi said. "Okay," she complied and started running towards him. When she just took Itachi's hand, a large debris hit the alleyway she was previously in. Itachi quickly threw the girl away and jumped himself along with his baby brother away from the debris. "Let's go to the shelter," Itachi said, leading the girl along with him and his brother towards where the shelters are located. When they almost made it to the shelters, Itachi saw his father standing there and told the girl he rescued, "You keep going, everyone will be there." The girl was not sure and was about to protest. But then Itachi ran towards his father Fugaku. "Father," he greeted his father, "good you two are here. Get to the shelters right away," he demanded his eldest son. "Yes, all right," Itachi replied, feeling a little upset, but did as his father asked him to do. Soon after each and every civilian was evacuated, a fierce battle took place to stop the nine-tailed fox that will forever scar the memories of all those who witnessed it. Next day, after the fall of the nine-tailed fox, "Lord Third, please take care of my son. His name is—" A loud cry of a baby interrupted Sarutobi Hiruzen from his deep thoughts. He exhaled deeply and went to the lone crib placed in the Hokage office. He picked the baby from the crib and started to rock him in his hands soothingly, comforting the baby. The baby boy has cute whisker marks on cheeks and has blonde hair, which was rare in Leaf Village. The boy has striking blue eyes, which were always looking curious. Just like his father, when he was a baby. Hiruzen thought, feeling for the 100th time since last night, that it should have been him doing the deed to save the village, not his successor. Soon he was brought out of his thoughts by a knocking on his door. Enter, he gave permission to whoever was knocking at the door to his office. His longtime teammates Homura and Koharu walked in, having grim expression on their faces. Koharu walked close to the baby in Hiruzen's hands and saw the baby's face for the first time. Soon Homura also followed his teammates' example and got a good look at the baby. The baby himself was looking at the both of them with curious blue eyes. "What are you going to do now, Hiruzen?" Koharu asked grimly. "The village can be rebuilt, but the lives lost yesterday night will always be remembered." Hiruzen replied. "We're not talking about yesterday's unfortunate events, Hiruzen." Homura corrected Hiruzen. Hiruzen seemed genuinely confused. "We're talking about the boy you're holding." Koharu clarified. "What about him?" Hiruzen questioned. "The boy is the legacy of the fourth Hokage, heir of the Uzumaki clan, and most importantly he is the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails." Homura explained. "If Hidden Stone, or more importantly Onoki, hears the word that we have the son of the fourth Hokage, then he'll send all the assassins he ever could to make sure the boy does not live." Koharu said. "I was thinking the same thing. I thought of giving him his mother's last name to avoid Hidden Stone coming after him. I also intend to pass a law to forbid people from talking about the Nine Tails. I want the boy to have a chance to make friends without having to face hatred." Hiruzen put out his idea to his teammates. Both of his teammates were convinced the idea will work. "That concludes the first matter we came here to discuss," Homura said. "What's the other matter?" Hiruzen inquired. "There were massive number of causalities and many Leaf ninjas were wounded in the attack yesterday. Our medic ninjas are not able to tend to all of them. Some ninjas who were injured critically are losing their lives. We need someone to assist us in saving the lives of our ninjas," Koharu said, coming right to the topic at hand. "By someone, you mean to say her?" Hiruzen asked, just so he could confirm what his teammates were implying. "Yes," Koharu confirmed his suspicions. "Leaf needs her medical expertise to save our ninjas' lives," Homura said. "I will see what I can do to bring her back and convince her to heal our ninjas." Hiruzen replied. "All right then Hiruzen, we will take our leave." Both left Hiruzen with the baby. Hiruzen then took the baby to his crib and set the baby in it. He started to feed the boy with a milk bottle. While the baby started to drink, Hiruzen was lost in his thoughts. "Tsunade, the Leaf Village needs you," he muttered to himself. But Hiruzen missed the giggle and the smile that came up on the baby's face when he mentioned Tsunade's name. After feeding the boy, Hiruzen left the now sleeping boy in his crib and went back towards his desk and sat down in his chair. He then started to write a letter. When he was done writing, he did a set of very specific hand signs for a very specific jutsu. Summoning jutsu, he muttered silently, trying not to wake up the peacefully sleeping baby. There was a small puff of smoke. Soon the smoke cleared and a regular-sized monkey could be seen waiting. The monkey's body and tail are covered by white fur, which protrudes from his sleeves and pants. He has shoulder-length white hair and has short sideburns. He wore a black kimono shirt with mesh armor underneath, which is held closed by a blue sash. The monkey also wore a Leaf Village forehead protector. "Greetings Sarutobi-san," the animal greeted his summoner. "Greetings, Satori. I need you to deliver this to my student Tsunade, ASAP," asked Hiruzen, handing the monkey a folded letter. "It'll be done Sarutobi-san," replied the monkey as he took the letter from Hiruzen before disappearing in a puff of smoke while holding the folded letter. With that being done, Hiruzen decided to complete the tons of paperwork pending on his desk before the baby wakes up again. Somewhere in Tanzaku town, a certain blonde-haired female was not having a good day. When she first woke up to start her day, the teacup her assistant gave her tea in actually cracked in her hands. Soon in the gambling bar, as soon as she started gambling today, she started to win. One might be thinking that winning was supposed to be good, right? Maybe winning was good for others, but that is not the case with her. For her, winning is a bad omen. She was having bad omens since last night. Her assistant, a fairly tall female with black hair, was standing near her. She was actually looking happy that her master is finally winning. But then she noticed the upsetting look on her master's face. "Let's go Shizune," ordered the blonde female. The now identified Shizune's eyes grew to the size of dish plates with a sweat drop forming on her backside of the head. "Lady Tsunade," she questioned her master with quizzical expression on her face. She could not believe that her master, who would never quit gambling even when she was losing horribly, was actually leaving a game when she was actually winning. You heard me, let's go, Tsunade demanded her assistant and started walking off from the bar. Shizune became worried at her master's sudden change in demeanor, but still followed her outside. They were walking towards the inn they are now staying at. There was an awkward silence between the master and apprentice duo. Soon they entered their room and started to get ready to go to bed. The silence between both of them was broken by a sudden puff of smoke on Tsunade's bedside table. When the smoke cleared, a Satori could be seen holding a note. Satori. Tsunade seemed surprised by the sudden appearance of her sensei's summon. Lady Tsunade, greeted Satori respectfully. Sarutobi-san wanted this to be delivered to you immediately, he said and handed the letter to the blonde female and then disappeared the same way he appeared. Shizune seemed as confused as her master was, by the sudden appearance of a monkey summon. She saw her master open the letter and then start to read. Tsunade Senju. Before I go into any further details, I want to apologize for disturbing you when you're off duty, to mourn the loss of your loved one. But a disaster struck Leaf last night and many lives are in danger. Only you and your medical expertise can save them. Leaf Village needs you. Please come back to Leaf, to save those in need. P.S. Minato and Kushina lost their lives defending the village. Don't let their sacrifices be in vain. As soon as Tsunade read the last line her eyes went wide with shock. Soon she got up and started to get ready like she was going somewhere. While she was getting ready she had a grim expression on her face. Her assistant could not keep the curiosity within her and asked her master, Lady Tsunade, what's the message in the letter? Tsunade did not answer her question, but instead said, pack our things, Shizune, we're leaving. Quote, Lady Tsunade. Shizune was surprised. We're going back to Leaf Village. Tsunade informed her assistant. Leaf. Shizune almost shouted in shock. After all, her master did take a vow to never set a foot in the Leaf Village again. Tsunade ignored her assistant's outburst and replied, yes. Now Shizune did not know whether to be happy that she and her master are finally going back to Leaf or to ask her master why she wants to return to Leaf. In the end Shizune decided to go with the later and asked, Lady Tsunade, why do you want to go back to Leaf, now? Shizune questioned, while placing emphasis on the word now. That question made her master stand still. Tsunade turned around to face Shizune with a sad expression and replied, my cousin and her husband have died yesterday night. Hiruzen was trying his best to contain his anger. He was sitting in his office trying to find out who leaked information to public about the newborn baby sleeping in Hi's office being the Jinchuriki of Kyubi. There have been 14 assassination attempts on the boy's life in the last 3 days. All of the assailants were caught by his Anbu dog, Tenzo and cat. These assailants were then interrogated by Ibiki. The interrogation results left Hiruzen shocked. All of them were people of his own village. People whom his successor died saving, are now trying to kill his son. You can come in now. Hiruzen said all of a sudden. For a few seconds there was no response, but then someone entered through the Hokage office window and stood facing Hiruzen. It's been a long time, sensei. The person greeted with a somber expression on his face. Indeed it has been Jiraiya, Hiruzen said releasing a sigh. So Minato and Kushina are gone, the now identified Jiraiya said as a statement, to which Hiruzen didn't say anything. For a few moments, neither sensei nor the student said anything. Both were reflecting on their failures. I failed to save those 3 in the Rain Village and now I failed to save Minato and Kushina too. Had I stayed back in Leaf, maybe Minato and Kushina would have still been alive. Were the thoughts running rampant in the Toad Sanon's head. If it was me that did the deed to save this village, maybe I would have saved both their lives and I would not be there to see my own people falling down so much as to try to take the life of a child. Were Hiruzen's thoughts. The painful silence was broken when Hiruzen's personal assistant peeked her head through the door and said, Lord Third, Lady Tsunade is here to see you. That broke the both of them out of their trance. Jiraiya tried processing what the assistant said in his mind and when it clicked, he shouted in surprise, Tsunade is back in the Leaf. Jiraiya's outburst caused the baby in the office to wake up from his sleep and he started to make whimpering and crying noises. Hiruzen rushed to the crib and picked up the baby. He then started to rock him gently trying to calm him down. Once the boy calmed a little Hiruzen asked his assistant, please send her in. His assistant went back to do as she was asked. It took a few moments for Jiraiya to realize who the baby boy is, but when he got a glimpse of blonde hair peeking through the bundle Hiruzen was holding, he was sure, that the boy was who he thought him to be. Jiraiya approached Hiruzen and took a good look at the baby in his sensei's arms. Is he? The Sannin tried to ask slowly this time, so as not to make the boy uncomfortable again. Yes, his sensei confirmed his guess. He looks like both of them, Jiraiya said, looking at the boy, while the baby boy was looking back at the Sannin with curious blue eyes. Jiraiya then took the boy in his hands to get a good look at his godson. The baby was good for a few moments, but then he was getting a bit uncomfortable. Jiraiya tried to calm him by gently rocking him, but the boy kept struggling. Hiruzen took the boy from Jiraiya and tried to calm the boy himself, but it was not working. Both men tried everything they could, but the boy wasn't calming down. He was not crying but has a troubled expression and was nearly whimpering, but they don't know why and what to do now. They started to make some faces to entertain the boy. When Tsunade walked in, what she saw was comical. Her sensei and her old teammate were making some stupid faces. Shizune also could not explain why Jiraiya was stretching his mouth with 2 fingers in front of a whimpering baby. Tsunade sighed at the pathetic attempt to calm the baby. Both men were startled when Tsunade walked up to them and took the baby boy into her arms. She wrapped him up in her warm embrace. The boy instantly calmed down and smiled as she rubbed his back while holding him gently. She gazed at him and the boy looked up at her with curious eyes. She tore her gaze away from the blonde baby and looked straight at her sensei. Tell me everything, sensei, Tsunade more or less demanded while still keeping the baby in a warm embrace. Few painful moments later, Shizune was holding the baby while she sat on a couch inside the Hokage's office. Hiruzen sat in his chair behind the desk, Jiraiya was leaning on the opposite wall facing his sensei, and Tsunade sat on the window with both of her legs placed on bottom space of the window. She was looking out through the window. If one looked close enough they can see some dried tears on her face. The painful silence between the 2 Sannin and their sensei was occasionally broken by the giggling sounds made by the baby boy. So he is her son? Tsunade suddenly asked without turning her face. Yes, he is, it was Jiraiya who replied. Why is he here in the office? Why is he not in the hospital nursery room? Tsunade inquired, this time looking straight towards her sensei. Hiruzen released a sigh and replied, he was not safe there. What do you mean he's not safe in the hospital? Tsunade questioned. Jiraiya also raised an eyebrow at his sensei's words, but he didn't say anything. There were some situations, Third Hokage said. What situations exactly? It was Jiraiya who asked, this time putting emphasis on the word situations. Hiruzen exhaled deeply, feeling his age for the first time since taking up on the Hokage mantle again. There were 14 assassination attempts on the boy's life. Granted, all the assassins were captured and are placed in heavy security prison. Both Jiraiya and Tsunade grew serious at this. Is it hidden stone? Jiraiya inquired. It must be Onoki. That damned old midget will do anything to get back at Minato. Tsunade expressed her anger, while spitting out the name Onoki like it was a poison. Well, I thought the same at first too, but it was not him. Hiruzen cleared the doubts before his 2 students could go out to do something drastic against Stone Village, and that will lead them straight towards 4th Great Ninja War. If it's not him, then who sent the assassins? Jiraiya thought out loud. It's the civilians and some ninjas of our own village. Hiruzen dropped the bomb on them. All those present inside the office except Hiruzen were shocked. There was a heavy silence that fell inside the Hokage office right after Hiruzen uttered those words. The tension was heavy among all of them. The baby boy also seemed to sense the tension as he made some whimpering noises. Shizune excused herself to go out of the office to calm the boy. Once Shizune and the baby were outside, Jiraiya calmly asked, why? He's the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. Hiruzen started to say but was interrupted when the desk in front of him was smashed into million pieces, courtesy of a raged Tsunade. Don't give me that nonsense, sensei. Would they be willing to kill him just because he's a Jinchuriki? Are the villagers so blind that they are willing to kill a child who is the son of the person who saved them? Tsunade asked in between her anger. To tell you the truth, they don't know who he is, Hiruzen replied calmly like he was not even bothered by Tsunade's rage. What do you mean they don't know who he is? Jiraiya asked, sounding shocked. I mean, they don't know who his father is. Hiruzen answered his student. Silence prevailed once again in the room the 3 were in. Both Sannin tried to process what their sensei was telling them. You mean to say, Tsunade started saying a few seconds later while cracking her knuckles. Her teammate Jiraiya then continued her words, "You told the villagers that he is the Jinchuriki while you withheld the information about who his father is." As he was uttering those words, his chakra started to flare unconsciously. Hiruzen took a deep breath, and just when it was feeling like his own students would attack him, he released a very massive and potent killing intent, focusing it on his two students. Jiraiya and Tsunade saw their own deaths 5 or so times. It was then they remembered that their sensei was once known as God of Shinobi. Hiruzen settled down after a few moments. Jiraiya and Tsunade seemed to be able to actually listen to him this time fully. "It was not me who informed the public about his Jinchuriki status. I'm still trying to find out the person who leaked it. As for not informing the villagers about who his parents are, what do you guys think if Hidden Stone, or more importantly Onoki, finds out about him?" Hiruzen said, more or less scolded his students, like a father would to his stubborn children. Both Sannin understood what he was saying now. If Onoki finds out about the boy, he will be hell-bent on taking the boy's life. "So what did you think of doing to protect him?" Jiraiya asked. "I will give him his mother's last name. I also initiated a law forbidding any talk about Kyuubi. Hopefully the boy will have a chance of making friends in future." Hiruzen explained his idea. "That's a good idea, sensei, but there is a major flaw in it. Hidden Cloud already tried to kidnap Kushina when she was a child. If you give the boy his mother's name, what makes you so sure that Hidden Cloud would not attempt to kidnap him too?" Jiraiya countered. "I will," Hiruzen started to say, but stopped, stumbling upon his own words. He looked like he just now realized the problem posed by Hidden Cloud. "I didn't take Hidden Cloud into consideration," he admitted. While both the Toad Sage and Hiruzen were bickering back and forth about how to protect the boy and how to proceed in the future, Tsunade was lost in her own thoughts. Even after quite a while, it seemed that both Jiraiya and Hiruzen could not find an idea to ensure the boy's safety. The entire office room was filled with arguments and disagreements between the sensei and student. "I will adopt him," Tsunade said suddenly. Pin-drop silence followed her words as both Jiraiya and Hiruzen were shocked with her exclamation. "He's the only family I've got left with. I've already lost many loved ones to this village. I don't want to lose him too. I will take him away from this village's stupidity." Tsunade expressed her feelings. "But what will you do with the problem posed by Hidden Stone or Hidden Cloud?" Hiruzen asked, still shocked. "He will be my son. He will be the heir of the Senju clan. If someone still wants to go after him, they will have to deal with me first." Tsunade explained her final decision. "But Tsunade," Hiruzen tried to protest, but was interrupted by the Toad Sannin, who said, "I will also be there, to deal with whoever comes targeting him." Hiruzen saw the determination in Tsunade's eyes, and he knew he lost this argument. He released deep breath and said, "Fine, I will ready the documents tomorrow for you to adopt him. We will have to complete it before the village council gets wind of this matter. I am getting too old to listen to all their bickering." Just then Shizune walked in, holding a peacefully sleeping boy in her arms. Tsunade took the baby from her. Then both Shizune and Tsunade went back to the Senju compound in the Leaf Village to rest for the night. Next morning, Senju clan compound. Tsunade woke up soon, so she can feed the baby. She picked up the baby from his crib and held him warmly in her embrace. The baby started to tug her robe, so she opened her robe and let the baby to latch onto her while she held a ram hand sign and the baby started feeding himself. Few moments later Shizune walked in on the scene and stared in disbelief as she saw her master the baby. It's a jutsu that uses chakra to forcefully activate the mammary glands to start the process of lactation and creates milk for the child. Tsunade explained, seeing the stupefied expression on her assistant's face. "Well, Lady Tsunade, sometimes I forget I'm the apprentice of the legendary medic in the elemental nations," Shizune exclaimed while she sat down near the mother and son. There was glow of happiness on Tsunade's face that she was lacking all these years. Maybe this baby will be the ray of hope her master needed in her life. A few moments later the baby stopped feeding himself and Tsunade tied her robe. She handed the baby to Shizune, so she could get ready to go and finish the paperwork needed to officially declare the adoption process. Few hours later, at the Hokage office, Tsunade finished signing all the documents required to finish the adoption process. Hiruzen was going through the paperwork, making sure he didn't miss anything. "Okay Tsunade, he's your son officially," Hiruzen said once he was satisfied that all the paperwork was perfect. Good, Tsunade replied as she cooed at the baby in her hands. There is one last thing to do now. That is, his birth certificate. Hiruzen said, and then he continued again, what do you want his last name to be? Tsunade held the baby close to her face and gazed lovingly at him while the baby gazed at her with his curious eyes as he rubbed her cheek with a bright smile. Tsunade finally answered her sensei, who was waiting patiently, he is my son, Naruto Senju. As soon as the adoption process was complete, Tsunade expressed her desire to take the baby Naruto away from the Leaf Village. Hiruzen, who had already witnessed all the assassination attempts, agreed with her decision. But he agreed to her decision on the condition that she will help all the ninjas and civilians who were wounded in the Nine Tails attack. Tsunade agreed to the condition. It took her a full week to heal all those who were wounded in the attack. The remaining 3 days were spent on collecting all of her Senju clan fortune, so she could raise Naruto. Now Tsunade and Shizune were already packed and were walking towards the village gate. It was still too early in the morning, so no one was present outside except a very few villagers who were starting to work early. Lady Tsunade, isn't it a little too fast to leave? Shizune asked the question that was bugging her mind since last night when her master informed her that they would be leaving the village in the early morning. This village is blinded with its hatred. I don't want to lose him to their hatred. Tsunade said the last part looking at the baby Naruto in her arms. Shizune understood the inner meaning of her master words and kept walking alongside her. As soon as they arrived at the gates, they saw Hiruzen waiting for them patiently. Sensei. Tsunade didn't know why he was there. I'm here to fulfill my duty that I promised to his parents. He replied, referring to Naruto. Which is? Tsunade inquired. Hiruzen took out 3 scrolls from his robes. One scroll was colored in red, second one was colored in golden yellow, and the third was plain white in color. He handed all the 3 to her. The white scroll contains all the fortune that Naruto's parents left him with. Hiruzen said with a grim expression, remembering the cost of that fateful night. Thanks, but I don't think I will need it. The Senju fortune I have is already enough. Tsunade tried to refuse. I know, but it's one of their final wishes. Hiruzen replied, remembering one of Kushina's final wishes. All right, Tsunade conceded. But what's with these 2 scrolls? She questioned, referring to the 2 remaining scrolls. They are all the jutsus that his parents used and created in their lifetime. These scrolls can only be opened by the blood of the descendant. He replied while placing emphasis on the word created. Tsunade understood what he was referring to and placed the 3 scrolls in her backpack carefully. Now to the final matter, I'm here to ask you to bring Naruto back to Leaf Village when he is ready. Hiruzen dropped the bomb. No, Tsunade shot down his request. Hiruzen did not react to her rejection, instead he was expecting her to say no. But he made a promise to someone. It was Kushina's final wish, for him to be Hokage and continue the dreams. He said, remembering her final words. That brought Tsunade's world upside down. She stood in silence for a few moments. Then she composed herself, and gazed at her son in her arms, who was having a bright smile, as soon as he heard the name Kushina. If he decides to come here, I won't stop him. That's all I can promise. Tsunade replied finally while caressing Naruto's cheek. That's all I can ask for. Hiruzen compromised to the fact that she was willing to allow Naruto to return, if he wishes to come back to Leaf Village. Goodbye sensei, Tsunade said to her sensei and started walking. Soon Shizune also followed her out of the village gate. Hiruzen stood watching the retreating forms of Tsunade and Shizune until they can no longer be seen. Now comes the difficult part. Breaking the news to the village council. Hiruzen thought while rubbing his temples. Far away in the sand village. He's so small, he's premature, are you really sure he's going to be alright? Quote. Rasa questioned Chio, worrying about his son's health. He was holding a tiny child with red hair. The baby has dark rings around his eyes, just like how his father gets dark rings around his eyes when he uses his golden dust. I'm not sure, but since he's born premature, he has to be taken good care of, to ensure his health. Chio replied, please let me, see my baby's face, a bedridden Karura asked in between pants and heavy breaths. She was exhausted from giving birth to a child prematurely. Are you alright Karura? Rasa almost shouted in panic, appearing right beside her while carefully holding the baby. I think I'll be fine, where's my, baby? Quote. Karura asked her husband again. Rasa placed the newborn baby near Karura with extra care. Karura turned a little to her left side so she can see her son. Karura took her very first look at her son and she got tears of happiness in her eyes. "He's so tiny," muttered Karura while caressing her son very gently. Just then the door to the operating room opened a little and Temari poked her head inside and asked, "Is Mom okay?" "Temari, pant, come in, pant, and see your, pant, brother," Karura called out to her eldest daughter. Temari walked in being very careful not to disturb anything in the operating room. Following a step behind her was Kankuro. He was also being very careful not to touch anything. Both children approached their mom who was looking exhausted. The happiness that both children got when they first saw the youngest sibling cannot be put into words. Temari was the first to speak. "Can I hold him?" "Not now," Rasa informed his daughter. "Why?" It was Kankuro who questioned. "Your brother is born prematurely, so we have to take extra care of him. Once we ensure that his health is fine, you can hold him." Chio answered the children. "What's premature?" Temari doesn't know its meaning since she is too young. "Don't worry, Pant, you can hold him soon, Pant," Karura consoled her children. "Okay," both children said downtrodden. "Kazekage-sama, what will be the name of your son?" "We need to make an entry for his birth certificate," one of the doctors in the room asked Rasa. It was Karura who answered, he's my son Gara. It has been 6 months since they left the Leaf Village. Tsunade and Shizune settled in a small forest area near the Land of Waves. They bought a plot of land that's enough for a 2-story house, a garden and a small playground for Naruto. They approached a builder named Tazuna to build them the dream house. Tazuna was a very popular builder around in Land of Waves. He built a very perfect house for them to start raising baby Naruto. Talking about Naruto, he started crawling 1 month back. He was always a troublemaker for his mom and sister. He kept both of them on their toes. One day Shizune found Naruto in the playground playing with mud. Needless to say she was chewed out by Tsunade. At present Tsunade was in the garden in front of their house. She was sitting on a picnic mat placed on the ground while Naruto was playing with a stuffed toy near her. The toy was a cute yellow-colored mouse with 2 long ears and has a red circle on each cheek. It has a tail that is shaped in a zigzag style. The toy has some black stripes on its back. Naruto was hell-bent on having it when Tsunade took him to the local toy store. Toy store owner said its name was Pika, or something. Tsunade thought. She was so lost in her thoughts that she didn't see Naruto opening his hands, asking her to pick him But then, Mama, Tsunade got wide-eyed before whipping her head so fast towards Naruto and picked him up. "What did you say, Naru?" she asked her son. "Mama," said Naruto again, tilting his head cutely, making her heart melt in those words. Tsunade was having tears of happiness in her eyes and took her son into a warm embrace. Shizune, who just walked up to them carrying a tray of snacks, dropped it when she heard Naruto speaking his first words. She hurried up to the pair. "Can you call me, Sis Naru?" she asked her little brother, getting hopeful. "See." Naruto tried to repeat the word his sister just said with a confused but cute expression on his face. "Sis," Shizune repeated again, slowly this time so he can see her lips. "Sis," Naruto said, imitating his sister. "Yes, that's my baby brother," she shouted happily, raising her fist into the air. "Did you see that, Lady Tsunade? Naru called me sis," she said, feeling excitement. Then a giggling Naruto lifted his hands, asking his sister to pick him up. Shizune picked him up from Tsunade and started to jump around in excitement, while the boy was giggling happily. "What's with all the celebrations?" a confused-looking Jiraiya asked, scratching his head. "He called me Mama. He called me sis," both ladies replied at once. "Really?" Jiraiya said, not believing their words. "Mama," Naruto chirped again with a foxy grin. All of a sudden Jiraiya appeared kneeling in front of Naruto, who was still in Shizune's hands. "That's my godson." He was having tears of his own. Tsunade was actually glad that Jiraiya was making time from his spy network to check in on Naruto whenever he could. He was being a good godfat. "Now say, shake that booty, girl," Jiraiya said with a perverted giggle. Crickets could be heard chirping in the background while 2 wide-eyed, dumbfounded ladies and a confused Naruto kept staring at him. "Shizune, take Naruto inside," ordered Tsunade calmly, cracking her knuckles. Jiraiya gulped in fear when he saw Tsunade has a tick mark on her forehead. It was at this moment, he knew, he fucked up, and she was pissed. Shizune took a happily waving Naruto inside. She completely ignored the shouting and pleading that followed. Don't even think of corrupting my son. Not there, not there. Oh www. Baby Naruto, who heard the screams, started clapping and said, "Mama, boom." Quote, Kazekage residence, Sand Village. Ah, what's going on? A confused-looking Rasa asked the celebrating mother and daughter duo. Karura was hugging her son Gaara affectionately and Temari was making faces at her brother, making him giggle, and was jumping and spinning in excitement. Both mother and daughter saw Rasa standing in the doorway to Gaara's room. "He called me mama. He called me sis." Both ladies replied at once. "Really?" Rasa said, not believing their words. "Mama," Gaara chirped again with a giggle. Kankuro, who just walked in to see what the commotion was about and heard his baby brother's first words. He rushed to his baby brother, who was still in Karura's hands. "That's my brother," exclaimed Kankuro. Rasa was glad that he made the right choice. He could see that they are a perfect fam. "Now say, makeup is great," Kankuro said with stupid grin. Crickets could be heard chirping in the background while two wide-eyed, dumbfounded ladies and a confused Gaara kept staring at him. Rasa's eyes became the size of dished plates. Karura handed Gaara to Temari. "Temari, take Gaara outside and play," she said calmly. Temari, who was still wide-eyed, took her brother and went out of the room. "I just remembered a paperwork that I forgot to finish." Rasa smartly escaped the situation, leaving Kankuro to face Karura, who was having tick mark on her forehead and she was cracking her knuckles. Kankuro was sweating comically. Rasa and Temari completely ignored the girly scream that followed few seconds after they left. Baby Gaara, who heard the girly scream, started clapping and said, "Mama, boom." It has been quite a while since baby Gaara started to speak his very first words. As time went on, he started saying the words such as, "Dada," to refer his father to, which made his father emotional. Kankuro saw his father getting emotional for the very first time in his 3 years of life. Today is a very special day for the family. It was Temari's 4th birthday. Entire family was preparing for a family celebration at night, and Karura has a special gift for her eldest daughter. "Temari, come here once," Karura called out. "Coming, Mom," came Temari's shout. Soon Temari entered her parents' room. Karura was the only one in the room, standing behind a table. Temari gazed at the table and she was surprised when she saw what was lying on the table. "What's this, Mom?" Temari inquired, staring with wide eyes at a giant folding fan that was placed on a table in front of her mother. The fan was taller than Temari herself. The giant folding fan lying on the table is a war fan. It has 3 purple circles along its metal body inside, and they can only be seen when it's opened. The fan can be used for both defensive and offensive attacks as a club when it's closed shut. It can also be used to deflect kunai and shuriken when opened wide. "It was my war fan when I was in the ninja force. No one was able to even make a scratch on me when I was wielding it," answered Karura, tracing the outlines of the fan with her finger. She was remembering her fond memories with it. "I would like you to have it. Happy birthday, Tem." She wasn't able to finish as a small happy bundle known as Temari has crashed into her and started hugging her at waist level. "Thank you, Mom," Temari said, sounding genuinely happy to have her mother's war fan. She released her mother a few moments later. She then reached out for the war fan and tried to lift it. "It's heavy," Temari said while struggling to lift the fan. "Don't worry, you will be able to lift it easily as you grow up," Karura explained. Temari lifted the war fan with both her hands. She wanted to show the gift to her makeup-wearing brother and baby brother, who were playing outside. Temari went out and started to show off her gift to her brothers. Karura, who followed her daughter outside, was smiling at the pouting Kankuro and Gaara, who was crawling towards his sister as soon as he saw her. Temari then put the war fan carefully on the ground and lifted Gaara, who was asking her to pick him up by opening his hands. Gaara then started to play with his sister's blonde hair. "So, I wanted to ask, why you always keep your hair in 4 pigtails? It's not that I'm complaining, but why don't you let your elegant blonde hair fall freely on your back?" Karura asked hesitantly as she approached the sister and brother duo. She wanted to ask about this for quite some time, but didn't ask, thinking she may hurt her daughter's feelings about how she wanted to look. As soon as Karura said blonde hair, Temari felt something. She couldn't comprehend what this feeling was. It was like she was not the only one. Karura saw her daughter's facial expression change from happy to dreamy to confused and then finally settle with a pout and question mark face. What happened, Temari? I just wanted to know why you don't let your hair loose, that's all, Karura said in panic, thinking she may have hurt her daughter's feelings by questioning her hairstyle. She didn't hate the hairstyle of her daughter, she was just curious. Oh, it's nothing, Mom, I was just lost in my thoughts. Oh, and I don't let my hair loose cause I don't wanna look girly, was Temari's reply as she let Gaara down so he can go back and play with Kankuro. Girly, but you are a girl? Karura asked, surprised. Not just any girl, but a girl that will become an awesome ninja that wields your war fan. Temari replied confidently while pointing her right-hand thumb towards her chest. I have no doubt in saying that you'll become a ninja that everyone will look up to. But never think that being a girl or girly is a weakness. Karura admonished her daughter. Temari looked at her mother with a confused face. I myself am a woman, and I can proudly say that I can go toe-to-toe with your father any day, informed Karura. Temari's eyes became wide. Wow, Mom, you're awesome. That's not the only thing. Lady Chio was said to have taken down an entire fortress, all by herself in a battle. Even Tsunade, one of the legendary Sannin of the Leaf Village, is also a woman. Here Temari's eyes were filled stars. Never ever think that being a girl, woman is a weakness. It's true that we are women, but not weak women. Temari was still in awe at what she was just told. It's your choice how you want to look, but never be ashamed of being a girl or woman, Karura said to her daughter. All right, Temari exclaimed, raising a fist to the sky, being proud. Though your hairstyle is quite unique too with your blonde hair, Karura complimented after Temari settled down. There, that feeling again, that I'm not the only one, were Temari's thoughts when she felt the same way again as her mother mentioned about her blonde hair. Karura noticed that Temari had a pout and a question mark face again. What's the matter? She inquired. It's nothing, Mom, but I have this weird feeling. Don't know how to say, but I feel like I'm not the only one, Temari replied, scrunching her nose in confusion. Huh, what do you mean, sweetie? Karura asked, getting intrigued. It's like, she began to think of a best way to explain. It's like, someone is out there who can give me competition, she said thoughtfully. Far away, Senju residence, land of waves. Haku, Naruto, who was playing in the garden, suddenly sneezed. He was playing with a tiny Katsuyu. Naruto was crawling around and trying to catch the tiny slug that his mother summoned for him. Katsuyu is always delighted whenever Tsunade summoned her to play with Naruto. Bless you, Shizune said, who was babysitting Naruto so he won't get himself into mud again. Being chewed out by Lady Tsunade once was enough. Someone must be thinking about you, Naru, she said again. But then she saw Naruto had stopped crawling up to Katsuyu as soon as he sneezed, and made a confused but cute expression on his face like he was thinking seriously about something. To Shizune he looked so adorable that she thought of hugging him like a teddy bear and never let go. Shizune, come inside, we need to ready the bath for Naru, came the shout of Tsunade. Coming, Lady Tsunade, Shizune replied. Lady Katsuyu, can you watch Naru for me? I will come back to take him inside in a few minutes, Shizune requested the slug summon. Oh, it's no problem, Shizune-chan. Besides, I enjoy my time with Naruto-kun, came the delighted reply of Katsuyu. Shizune nodded at Katsuyu gratefully and then went inside to help Tsunade to prepare the bath for Naruto. Naruto was still having that cute thoughtful expression on his face. As soon as Shizune was no longer in sight, Katsuyu noticed some movement in the nearby bushes. She felt something in there, so she crawled up to that bush. But suddenly a regular-sized snake jumped on her. The snake was no match for Katsuyu, but it was only a distraction. Another snake, which is the size of a python, was making its way towards the still thoughtful baby Naruto, who was oblivious to its approach. It was green in color, mixing up with the grass, making it unseen for her eye. Katsuyu was engaged in disposing of the first snake with her acid, but she did not know there was another snake about to strike Naruto. Even if she knew about the other snake, she could not make it fast enough to save him. The python opened its maw to strike a still unaware Naruto. Few moments later, when Tsunade and Shizune walked outside to take Naruto for his bath, they were confused and surprised along with Katsuyu too. There was a large bird standing in the grass near a happily giggling Naruto. The bird is 3 feet tall and can come up to Tsunade's waist level in height if it stood tall. The bird looked like an eagle but not quite the same. It has the body structure of an eagle, but its size is far large to be an actual eagle. Its feather colors are so vibrant, which was never seen by any of them including Katsuyu. Even though it has large size and vibrant colors, in nature when an animal has bright vibrant colors, it means that the animal is either poisonous or dangerous. The bird seemed to be calm. It was looking at a giggling Naruto until Tsunade and Shizune walked in. When the bird noticed their presence, it turned its head toward Tsunade. Tsunade was fearing for her son's safety in the presence of an unknown large bird, but as soon as the bird looked at her, she doesn't know why but she felt at ease. It's like the bird has a calming aura that calms everyone in its vicinity. Almost like someone was guiding her, she walked up to her son and picked him up. While this was happening, the bird didn't even make any movement at all, like all scared birds do when a human approaches them. Tsunade, Shizune and Katsuyu were all staring in awe at the mighty bird. Once the bird saw that the boy was safe, it released its wings, which were 3 meters wide each. Then it released a mighty screech, and took flight. The screech was not the one that shocked Tsunade, Shizune and Katsuyu, but what shocked them was what they saw in the bird's talons. Hanging from the massive and ferocious-looking talons was the lifeless corpse of a green-colored python. The python was massive. It could weigh easily around 300 pounds. All three had no clue how the bird could lift that much weight like it was just a feather. The bird started circling around them in the sky, making a gentle breeze of wind, and then threw the dead python far away, where it can't be found by anyone. Naruto, who was still in the hands of Tsunade, was clapping and giggling, enjoying the gentle breeze created by the bird. As soon as the bird started to fly away, he lifted his tiny hand towards the sky where he could still see the bird disappearing into the distance and said, "Wind!" Right after Naruto said, "Wind," in Sand Village. Temari, who was in the playground listening carefully about all her mom's exploits when she was a ninja, suddenly felt like someone rested their hand on her shoulder gently. She looked back in surprise, while her mother seemed to be curious about her daughter's sudden reaction. "Temari?" Karura inquired, curious as to why her daughter is looking back with a confused expression. Temari blinked her eyes when Karura called her and turned to face her mom and said, "It's nothing, Mom, I just felt like someone rested a hand on my shoulder." Just then a gentle breeze of wind surrounded the two females, who have no idea about what was going on. The gentle breeze of wind caused 2 of Temari's lower pigtails get loose, making her long hair to fall freely and flow in the wind, making her look like an angel to her mother's eyes. That night, some unknown location. It was a darkly lit hideout, built entirely underground, with the entrance being at the foot of a rock formation. Within the hideout itself are numerous rooms, and on the walls of the rooms, there were statues of gigantic snakes coiled up with candles in their eyes providing light. A tall and thin figure was seen sitting on some sort of throne-like structure in one of the rooms of the hideout. Soon a regular-sized snake came up, crawling into the darkly lit room and stopped nearly 10 feet away, facing the person. The snake looked like it has seen better days. Over 70% of the snake's body was filled with acid burns. Aoda, it seems as if you were unsuccessful in doing what I asked of you." The person said sarcastically. "Yes, my lord. I faced a massive retaliation from Slug Sanon's summon." The now identified snake Aoda humbly replied. "Sakatsuyu was there, the person replied. "Forgive me, my lord, but your idea to harm an innocent child is not a noble way to." Aoda started to say, but the person interrupted the still talking snake like he didn't even hear its words. "Your father Manda will not be happy that his son was beaten by Katsuyu brutally," he said, making the snake bow its head in disappointment on itself. "To think that Katsuyu was able to defeat 2 of my snakes all by herself." The person started talking to himself but was interrupted by the snake, who lifted his head and said, "With all due respect, my lord, only I was defeated by Katsuyu-sama." Aoda made a tiny mistake by referring Katsuyu with respect, and started to panic that his lord may complain to his father Manda. The person seemed as if he didn't even catch the mistake and questioned, "So what happened to Viper then?" "He was killed brutally by some sort of a large bird." Aoda replied with remorse filled in his voice at losing one of his kin. "A bird, you say? Interesting, was the person's excited reply. He seemed to be in thought for a few moments with a sadistic grin on his face. He then said again, "You may now leave, Aoda. Don't disgrace this place by your presence again. I don't need failures anywhere near me." Aoda was shocked that the person he viewed as his master doesn't even care when one of his kin was killed brutally. The snake looked like he wanted to say something. He wanted to question his master. Is there no respect for his snake brethren who died trying to fulfill his master's wishes? Is there no respect for his own loyalty towards his master? But whatever he wished to ask, he couldn't ask them. As you wish, Orochimaru-sama, Aoda said, and then simply turned around and disappeared in a puff of smoke back to Raichi Cave. The now identified Orochimaru did not know that he just lost the trust, respect and loyalty of a young snake summon who will soon become the great snake summon to ever live in Raichi Cave. Aoda now has only two goals in his mind. The first is to make himself stronger, and the second one is to find a loyal and respectable summoner for the snakes, who will restore the glory of the snakes. It has been nearly 2 months since the incident with snakes happened in the garden. Tsunade had read most of the famous ornithology books ever published in the elemental nations to find out which species does the mysterious bird belongs to, which saved her son from that dangerous python. Tsunade was now in the living room, reading another one of the ornithology books. Bald eagle, no, that's not it, she muttered and flipped through some more pages. Golden eagle, not this one too, she flipped some more pages. Harpy eagle, she hummed in thought while reading more about the species. Harpy eagles possess the largest talons of any living eagle, and have been recorded as lifting prey which is equal to their own body weight. This allows them to snatch a live sloth from tree branches, as well as other proportionately huge prey items. Males usually take relatively smaller prey, with a typical range of 0.5 to 2.5 kilograms, 1.1 to 5.5 pounds, or about half their own weight. The larger females take larger prey, with a minimum recorded prey weight of around 2.7 kilograms, 6.0 pounds. Adult female harpies regularly grab large male howler or spider monkeys or mature sloths weighing 6 to 9 kilograms, 13 to 20 pounds, in flight and fly off without landing, an enormous feat of strength. She paused in her reading. But what I saw was no ordinary eagle. It lifted a massive python, which weighs around 150 kilograms, nearly 330 pounds, and that is not just any ordinary feat of strength. She thought with a frown marring her face. You'll get wrinkles soon, if you keep on stressing yourself like that. Tsunade turned her face towards the source of the voice and found Jiraiya coming in through the window of their house into the living room. If you don't know, we have a fine-looking door that works, she said sarcastically. Nah, windows are more suited for my style, he said with a stupid grin, but then he became serious and asked, so what happened, that you need my assistance? Few moments later, does Katsuyu know anything about this bird that you are talking about? Jiraiya inquired. She was as surprised as we are, and that's what makes me nervous that even Katsuyu, who is around for more than 1,000 years, does not have any idea about what this bird is. Tsunade exclaimed. But you also said that the bird just saved Naruto from a python that could possibly be there to attack him, didn't you? Jiraiya questioned. Yeah, and it didn't even make any movement even when I was approaching it. It just kept on looking at me, and then lifted the python like it was just a feather, she said, remembering the encounter again. This is troubling, Jiraiya said, scratching his chin. I will see if I can find any info about this in Mount Myoboku, write down the appearance and details of the birder. ND, give it to me, he said, handing her a notepad and pen that he always keeps with him. Tsunade wrote what she could remember about the bird and handed it back to the Toad Sannin. So, where's my troublemaker godson? Jiraiya asked, feeling happy to meet his godson. He's in the garden with Shizune, Tsunade said while leading the way to the garden. Jiraiya soon followed her out. Naruto was once again found playing with a small Katsuyu, while Shizune was keeping a close eye on him, making sure that no more incidents like what happened last time take place. Naruto was hugging Katsuyu like a teddy bear. His eyes then caught something. There was a cute-looking baby red fox kit which could be no longer than 2 weeks old. The baby fox's fur was gray, but there was already a red coat growing on its fur. The kit seemed to be not able to walk properly because of its young age. The fox kit was probably an orphan now. There were a lot of orphaned baby foxes whose parents were killed off because of the demand for their fur. Or just as an entertainment sport for some stupid people, the sad reality of the world we live in. As soon as Naruto saw the kit, he started crawling towards it. The kit seemed to walk away from the baby Naruto whenever he tried to reach it. Tsunade, Jiraiya and Shizune saw the scene and thought it's adorable. After trying to reach the cute baby fox 2 or 3 times and failing, baby Naruto puffed his cheeks like a stubborn child. Jiraiya could have laughed if he didn't see what happened next. Naruto put his hands on the ground for support and tried to stand. He stood up with shaking legs and took a step towards the baby fox, which seemed to come to him at this point. Jiraiya was surprised in a positive way and Shizune gasped as she got to her feet with her hands over her mouth. Tsunade's eyes watered with happiness as she saw her son taking his very first steps. Naruto started to pet the baby fox in his own way with his tiny hands. "Naru," he heard his mother calling him. He turned his head away from the baby fox and saw his mother standing there. Tsunade opened her hands urging him to come to her. As soon as Naruto saw his mother, he forgot all about the fox and started to walk shakily towards Tsunade. Jiraiya recovered from his surprise and took out his camera that he always keeps with him in order to peep on women, but this time he decided to capture this special moment for the mother and son. Tsunade watched her son take one step and another with shaking legs. "Come on Naru, come to mama," she encouraged him with eyes filled with tears of happiness. Naruto took 2 more steps and just when he was about to reach his mother, he stumbled on his legs. Before he can fall, his mother picked him up and she was crying in happiness. She hugged him in her warm embrace. Baby Naruto got confused when his mother started to cry. He rubbed the tears off from her cheeks with his tiny hands as best as he could with an adorable cute expression. Soon Shizune also recovered from her surprise and joined the mother and son duo. Caught each and every step, Jiraiya muttered while going through the pictures he just took. One picture shows Tsunade opening her hands urging her son to come to her. Next 2 pictures show Naruto taking one step after another towards his mother. Another one shows Naruto almost reaching Tsunade. Next picture shows a very emotional Tsunade hugging her son who was trying to wipe his mother's tears. The final picture shows a happy Shizune making faces at Naruto making him giggle and Tsunade to smile. "It will be a gift for my godson, on his first birthday in a few days," Jiraiya thought. Soon he also joined them in urging his godson to walk towards him too, which Naruto happily did. Shizune took the camera from Jiraiya so she can capture Jiraiya's special moment with Naruto too. Then they set the camera on timer mode and put it on a nearest tree branch, so that they can take a family picture with baby Naruto who can now stand a little easily. Tsunade and Shizune were standing side by side while baby Naruto stood in front of them in the middle with a smiling face while Jiraiya, who was taller than all of them, was in the back giving a peace sign with a heartfelt smile. When the timer hit 2-second mark, both Katsuyu and that cute baby fox also joined the picture. Katsuyu was on Naruto's right side while the baby fox was on his left side. The camera clicked the picture completing the perfect family picture. Tsunade, who witnessed the baby fox being petted by Naruto, decided to adapt the kit. After all, the fox kit was the one that made her son to take his first steps. She decided to take the fox kit to a nearest veterinarian soon to give it all the necessary medication and vaccination for the baby fox to be safe. She will let Naruto to name it when he can. That evening, after witnessing his godson's very first steps and playing with him for some time, Jiraiya took his leave from the family because he has a mysterious bird to investigate about. He gave the camera with pictures to a local studio owner for development. He also paid little extra to make sure the photos will be framed ready 2 days before Naruto's first birthday. Then he decided to visit Mount Myoboku to see if the toads know anything about the bird or not. Few moments later, Mount Myoboku. A large bird, capable of lifting more than 300 pounds of weight, with features of an eagle but large in size and with vibrant-looking red and yellow feathers. Gamamaru muttered in thought with half-lidded eyes while resting on his throne. Standing before Gamamaru were Jiraiya and Fukasaku. When even Fukasaku did not know anything about the bird Jiraiya has asked about, he decided to take the toad Sanin to Gamamaru, to see if the great elder toad has any knowledge of the bird. "Well Jiraiya boy, when I was still a tadpole, my great-grandmother used to tell me the tales of a certain bird." Gamamaru has still half-lidded eyes and did not make any movements, but from his tone alone both Jiraiya and Fukasaku could tell that the great elder toad was surprised. "She always used to say that it was just a myth. When I asked her if the bird exists in real life or not, Gamamaru recited his memories to the two of them." Jiraiya looked like he was about to ask something but was interrupted when Gamamaru spoke. "I think the bird you are looking for is a phoenix." Quote, "Memories to remember. It has been a week since Jiraiya has left to investigate about the mysterious bird. Today is October 10th and it's almost like a mini festival in the Senju household in Land of Waves. Because it's the first birthday of Naruto. Tsunade and Shizune were making preparations for a small number of guests in the evening. They didn't invite a lot of members, just a few people. Shizune invited Tazuna and his family personally, while Tsunade herself sent invitations to a select few people. Like Jiraiya and Hiruzen. At present Shizune was busy in cooking and Tsunade was in the process of arranging all the drinks and sake needed for the guests while she took a sip or two when Shizune was not looking. Naruto was in the living room playing with his favorite stuffed toy, which is the cute yellow-colored mouse with 2 long ears and has a red circle on each cheek. It has a tail that is shaped in a zigzag style. Pikachu, Thunderbulb attach, Naruto shouted while running in circles holding the Pikachu stuffed toy in the living room. He was repeating the catchphrase used by the hero in his favorite show that he regularly watches in television. He was so young that he can't even pronounce some words properly. Tsunade and Shizune were still surprised at how fast Naruto was learning to talk, and he was just 1 year old. Katsuyu was babysitting him as both the ladies of the house are busy in preparations, while Eevee was also there running AF. Turn Naruto. If you're wondering who this, Eevee, is, then let me tell you, she was the baby fox that Tsunade adopted as a family pet. She let Naruto to name the female baby fox and he named her Eevee, because she looks like another animal, from his favorite show. Naruto all of a sudden stopped in mid-run and turned back facing Eevee. Eevee, help Pikachu, he shouted playfully and gently set the stuffed toy on the back of the baby fox. The fox kit then started to run in circles, making sure to not let the toy fall down. And a few moments later Fox Kit jumped onto Naruto, making him fall back on the carpet and started to lick him as the toy fell on his right side. Naruto was laughing hard as he was tickled by the Fox Kit's licking and sat up. Just you wait, Gary, I will beat you, he shouted, referring to another Lin. E from the show, rising his tiny fist in the sky. Eevee also rose up on his left side and yipped its agreement too. What's my godson doing? Naruto turned towards the source of the voice and found Jiraiya coming in through the window. Uncle Jiraiya, he shouted in excitement as he ran as fast as he could and jumped up towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya caught the excited boy in his hands and spun him around, making the boy laugh and then set him down. What's with all the kamo? Tsunade stopped in mid-sentence as she saw Jiraiya. Soon Shizune also appeared in the living room. I'm glad you're here, pervert, Tsunade said. Shizune was trying so hard to maintain a poker face but was failing miserably at the pervert remark. Eevee also made some enthusiastic barks agreeing with that. Hey, Jiraiya shouted like a stubborn child and said, I'm not a pervert, but before Tsunade can counter, I'm a super pervert. He finished his sentence. He then summoned a samurai toad Gama, who is a large toad, enough for Jiraiya to ride on his back. His orange skin is covered in blue markings, he has bandages wrapped around his body and left foreleg, and wears a necklace with 7 large beads on it, with the kanji for loyalty on the central, largest one. He was wearing a samurai armor, composed of a plate cuirass and arm guards paired with traditional samurai pauldrons. Then Gama and Jiraiya started to do a weird dance intro as Jiraiya started to say, I am the hermit of Mount Myoboku, the man on whom ladies swoon over, Jiraiya. The Toad Sage. He completed the intro by making weird pose. He was leaning forward a little facing the ladies of the house, still standing on Gama with his left leg in front and right leg was stretched behind him, and he held his left hand in the front with palm open and downwards near where his featuring knee was, and he held his right hand behind him with elbow facing the sky and closed right fist towards his head. Strangely enough, the Toad Gama was also imitating his pose. Pin drop silence. Crickets could be heard chirping in the background as the 2 ladies of the house and the female bar by Fox stood there in utter silence with dumbfounded faces and a sweat drop on the back of their heads. But they were brought back to reality from their stupor when they heard clapping sounds. Both ladies and the Fox Kit turned towards the sound and fell face first in the ground in a comical way. And they saw that Naruto was laughing and was clapping at Jiraiya's display. See, my godson approves me as the ladies' man. Jiraiya shouted and lifted the giggling Naruto off the ground and set him up on his shoulders and started to jump up and down, still standing on Gama. Not surprisingly, Gama also started to jump around as Jiraiya kept himself balanced by channeling chakra to his legs. Few seconds later Tsunade stood up from the ground and said, Boys, will be boys. Soon Shizune and Evie also stood up and all three ladies, including Evie, went back to what they were doing, leaving the boys of the house to do as they wish. That night, Senju compound. The birthday party was not a fancy one. The family just invited some people only. Tazuna and his family left a little while ago after giving their own presents for Naruto. After waving them goodbye, Tsunade came back to the living room and saw that Jiraiya was waiting for her in a chair on the left side of the couch. Naruto was sleeping peacefully in Jiraiya's arms. Tsunade took Naruto from him and settled on the couch. Well, here are the pictures we took that day, Jiraiya said as he handed her a photo album and picture frame. The album has the pictures of Naruto's first steps already in it and has more blank pages, so the family can store each and every special moment in it. The picture frame has the picture in which Tsunade, Jiraiya, Shizune, Naruto, Katsuyu and Evie were there as a family. Tsunade kept the picture frame on the desk in the living room and she kept the album safely away for future. I forgot to give this present to him, Jiraiya muttered as he fished out a wrapped package from his clothes and handed it to her. Tsunade opened the package and there were two items in it. The first one was a nightcap with toad mouth, looking like it would eat the one who wore it, and the second NE was a money-carrying purse in the shape of green toad, where the toad's mouth opens up to keep money inside. Tsunade rose an eyebrow at these and turned towards the toad Sannin and asked, "You're not baiting my son into signing the toad contract, are you?" Don't know what you're talking about, Jiraiya replied, whistling lightly while looking at a wall that he found interesting all of a sudden. Tsunade just released a sigh and put the toad cap on Naruto's head. Naruto made a smiling face in his sleep like he appreciated the warmth provided by the cap. I also found some info about that bird, in Mount Myoboku, Jiraiya said. Tell me, Tsunade said, paying attention. Great Elder Toad said that he heard a legend about a bird that can summon the eternal fire. He said its name is Phoenix. But he also said it was just a myth and is not sure whether the bird you saw is a phoenix or not. Jiraiya explained what he found. Tsunade hummed in deep thought as she gazed at her sleeping son. Oh, and by the way, Sensei could not come today as he was busy with council meetings, Jiraiya slowly said, putting emphasis on the words council meetings. Tsunade caught on to what he was implying and asked, "What's the matter?" Council is continuously making pressure on Sensei to implement Clan Restoration Act. He answered. Tsunade became serious and took the sleeping Naruto to his room and tucked him in. She then came back to continue the discussion. "CRA on which clan?" she inquired. "Senju Clan." "No." Jiraiya was not able to finish as Tsunade interrupted him, and then she continued again, "I won't be going through it." Quote, "They did not ask CRA for you. You didn't let me finish," Jiraiya said. Was her confused reply. "Council is asking CRA to be implemented on the Senju clan heir," he said, putting emphasis on heir. "You mean?" she inquired, shaking in anger. "Yes, they are making demands to put Naruto under CRA to restore Senju, Uzumaki and Namika's clans," he said with anger too. "Well, I won't let them. It's my son's life and he has to live it on his own wishes. If they make any more disturbances, then I will cut all my ties with Leaf Village and make sure Naruto never even hears about the village or its stupid people," she said, her final decision. "That's what I want for him too. If he wants to revive his clans, then it's fine. But if he only loves one woman, then that's for the best too," Jiraiya said. Tsunade can understand that if her son wishes to restore her clan, his mother's clan and his father's clan, then he can, because that's what he wishes. But if he doesn't wish to, then no one in hell or heaven can force her son as long as she is still breathing. Tsunade took the scroll and unsealed it. The scroll contained a standard training kunai and shuriken set and a white t-shirt which has red color on the neckline and on hands starting fro M shoulders. In chest area the t-shirt has the picture of a monkey wearing cool sunglasses and doing a dabbing pose. Tsunade sat there in silence staring at the dabbing monkey on the t-shirt. She then folded the t-shirt neatly and kept it back in its package and left it there on the table. She then stood up and started to pull her blonde hair in a comical way and shouted, "Stop baiting my son into signing your summoning contract.